Throughout the 1930s, Edgar Cayce provided hope to desperate families, claiming that their terminally ill children could be cured through his specific remedies, which included castor oil packs and dietary modifications. In numerous documented instances, children who had been given only days to live by medical professionals made remarkable recoveries when their families adhered strictly to his guidelines. However, what's even more astonishing about these situations is that they extended beyond mere physical healing. Known as the Sleeping Prophet, Cayce spent 43 years channeling insights that questioned our fundamental beliefs about life, death, and the experiences in between. With more than 14,000 documented readings, recorded by stenographers and preserved in Virginia Beach, his contributions form the most comprehensive collection of psychic material gathered by a single individual. Hold on. This is where it truly becomes captivating. Time after time, the same themes emerged from those who have passed away. There are 10 particular insights that the departed urgently wish for the living to comprehend. If you're prepared to learn what your cherished ones are attempting to convey from beyond, go ahead and click that subscribe button now, as this knowledge has the potential to transform your perception of death eternally. The first message from the deceased may astonish you. They haven't truly departed. In recorded instances from the 1930s and 1940s, Cayce was inquired about relatives who had recently passed away. The revelations were astonishing, even to his stenographer. The departed weren't merely there during the sessions. They were engaging directly, providing precise information about familial issues that could only be known to them, such as the whereabouts of significant documents their families were unable to locate. This was not atypical for Cayce. In countless readings, he consistently indicated that consciousness persists beyond physical demise. The individual's personality, memories, and emotional ties endure. According to Cayce's insights, death is merely a transition to a different location, rather than a conclusion. However, this notion frightened some of his clients. The deceased often possess a greater awareness of worldly matters than they did during their lifetimes. They have the ability to perceive the broader context, comprehend family interactions more effectively, and sincerely wish to assist their relatives in overcoming difficulties. Consider this for a moment. At this very moment, as you engage with this content, based on Cayce's research, those who have passed may actually be more involved in your life than they were while they were alive. They urge you to lessen the intensity of your grief. In a number of emotionally intense sessions, Cayce connected with fathers who had passed away in accidents. The messages received were both urgent and distinct. The overwhelming sorrow expressed by their families was, in fact, preventing these fathers from advancing spiritually. This insight frequently emerged in Cayce's sessions. Those who have died recognize that grief is a natural and essential part of life. But enduring, strong mourning can create energetic links that hinder their spiritual growth. They desire for their cherished ones to understand that they are secure, evolving, and gaining knowledge. However, there's a crucial aspect that transforms our approach to dealing with grief. The departed consistently conveyed via Cayce that commemorating their lives and memories aids in their spiritual journey, whereas enduring sorrow fosters confusion and hinders their advancement. They wish to be honored with happiness, not shackles of grief. In 3 minutes, I will disclose the case that even frightened Cayce's support team. However, it's essential to grasp what the deceased express regarding unresolved matters. Their primary focus is on forgiveness. Throughout the wartime period, Cayce held many sessions for families mourning soldiers. A recurrent theme became evident: The departed were profoundly troubled by lingering disputes and feelings of unforgiveness among their relatives. In a reading that astonished his stenographer, a fallen soldier conveyed that witnessing his family fractured by past grievances was inflicting greater suffering on him than his own death had brought to them. According to Cayce's comprehensive records, the deceased retain emotional ties to their family members and experience pain when they observe persistent dysfunction within the family. What's intriguing, however, is that they possess a broader understanding of these disputes. They are able to recognize how trivial many of the disagreements were and how pride and ego sabotaged relationships without cause. They yearn for their family to forgive both one another and themselves. The deceased grasp a truth that the living frequently overlook. Nurturing resentment ultimately inflicts pain on the one harboring the hostility. With their broadened perspective, they recognize that forgiving not only frees the one being forgiven, but even more so the one who forgives. They endeavor to convey messages. In recorded instances from the 1930s, Cayce consistently tapped into knowledge, revealing that those who have passed actively seek to connect with their relatives through a range of signs and synchronicities. However, the issue is that many individuals overlook these occurrences as mere coincidences. Based on historical readings, the deceased operate within natural laws to generate significant coincidences, affect dreams, and arrange for particular songs, numbers, or symbols to manifest at just the appropriate times. They grasp the spiritual principles governing how consciousness can impact the physical world. But hold on. This is where Cayce uncovered something unsettling. Through his readings, the departed conveyed that the distractions and skepticism of contemporary life hinder their ability to connect with their loved ones increasingly. In today's chaotic and disjointed world, individuals must put in more effort and be increasingly inventive to grab attention. Your thoughts and prayers do reach them. In one of the most well-documented instances, Cayce connected with a grandmother who notably referred to the nightly prayers her granddaughter offered on her behalf. She conveyed that these affectionate thoughts provided her with a sense of strength and clarified how they genuinely aided her spiritual development. This trend was evident repeatedly. Those who have passed away receive and gain from the kind thoughts, prayers, and positive intentions directed toward them by the living. These spiritual ties go beyond the bounds of physical death and offer genuine energetic support for individuals moving to elevated planes. What Cayce's findings uncovered, which many are unaware of, is that your reflections on departed loved ones are not merely personal recollections. They serve as dynamic exchanges that extend solace, power, and guidance to those adapting to their new reality. However, there is a particular instance that sent shivers down the spine of even Cayce's most seasoned helpers. They caution against spiritual perils. In a session held in 1936, an extraordinary event took place. A father who had passed away delivered urgent alerts regarding his living son's engagement with perilous occult activities. The communication was so powerful and detailed concerning spiritual risks that Cayce's stenographer later remarked she felt a chill throughout the entire session. The archives house numerous accounts in which the deceased cautioned their relatives about spiritual practices, relationships, or choices that could result in detrimental outcomes. Through their broadened awareness, they were able to perceive spiritual truths that remain hidden from those still in physical existence. Based on Cayce's recorded findings, the deceased comprehend that consciousness persists beyond death, indicating that decisions regarding spiritual practices, ethical choices, and personal growth carry everlasting implications. They are eager to safeguard their loved ones from spiritual dangers. They grasp the reasons behind suffering. In multiple readings, Cayce uncovered insights revealing that the departed achieve a deeper understanding of why specific hardships, diseases, and losses arise during their earthly experiences. What may appear haphazard or harsh from a narrow human viewpoint reveals a sense of intention when seen from a heightened awareness. An instance recorded in the late 1930s featured a mother who had lost several children to sickness. In Cayce's reading, these children expressed that their short lives had fulfilled distinct spiritual purposes, aiding both their own soul evolution and contributing to their family's spiritual development. This perspective does not imply that the deceased are indifferent to worldly pain. Instead, they grasp the broader context of how souls utilize physical experiences for their education and growth. They aim for their cherished ones to understand that no pain is ever without purpose, even if its significance is not instantly clear. A space is being arranged for you. In confirmed instances during Cayce's career, those who have passed away have regularly conveyed that they are proactively getting ready for future reunions with their families. This is not a matter of simply waiting. They are involved in acquiring knowledge and honing skills that will enrich these upcoming encounters. Based on historical accounts, individuals who have transitioned often recount sustained connections with other departed relatives and friends. They establish spiritual networks in which they nurture each other's growth and strategize on ways to aid and ultimately reconnect with those still in the physical realm. Now here's the astonishing aspect of this preparatory journey. The deceased are said to utilize their heightened awareness to facilitate events and opportunities for their living loved ones. From this elevated viewpoint, they can perceive possibilities and links that are unseen to those with physical awareness and strive to foster advantageous situations. Reincarnation is indeed a reality, and connections persist across lifetimes. In numerous past life readings, Cayce has reliably tapped into insights that reveal how souls are reborn to further their learning, and that important relationships extend over many lives. Those who have passed recognize this continuity, frequently mentioning prior lives spent with their living loved ones. In cases that have been recorded, the deceased conveyed that their current relationships form part of lasting spiritual alliances intended to support the growth and evolution of everyone involved. They perceive beyond the brief separation caused by physical death, embracing the everlasting essence of love and connection. This viewpoint fundamentally alters our perception of loss. As noted in Cayce's comprehensive records, death is viewed as a brief parting within an everlasting bond, rather than a conclusion. The consciousness that cherishes you today will persist in its love for you through multiple lifetimes. They encourage you to cultivate your spiritual talents. In one of his most illuminating sessions, Cayce communicated with a departed spiritualist who encouraged her living daughter to nurture her own psychic skills. The communication highlighted that every individual has innate intuitive abilities. However, many tend to overlook or stifle these spiritual talents. The records include countless examples of the deceased urging their family and friends to engage in meditation, prayer, and the study of spiritual teachings while cultivating their own direct link to higher realms. They recognize that spiritual growth is the most significant endeavor one can undertake in physical existence. From their broadened perspective, those who have passed away observe how these spiritual gifts can profoundly enrich earthly life, offering guidance, healing, tranquility, and purpose. They fervently wish for their loved ones to tap into these same abilities while still in their physical bodies. Here's the essential message that emerged throughout multiple readings, reflecting the key insight the deceased wish for you to grasp. A recurring theme in Cayce's documented findings is that love is indeed everlasting, and that consciousness continues to expand and evolve beyond physical death. Those who have passed wish for their loved ones to embrace life fully, love wholeheartedly, forgive entirely, and seek spiritual advancement while still in physical form. They view earthly existence as a vital chance for spiritual growth that should not be squandered on insignificant worries, lingering resentments, or spiritual indifference. Each day spent in physical existence presents opportunities for learning, service, and the nurturing of the soul. Opportunities that the deceased often wish they had valued more deeply during their lifetimes. According to the insights consistently revealed in Cayce's readings, death is not simply the end of life. Rather, it represents the ongoing existence of consciousness in an altered state. The bonds of love and spiritual ties established during life persist beyond physical demise, becoming even more profound and significant as both the living and the departed continue their eternal paths of spiritual growth. Those who have passed wish to reassure you of their safety, their ongoing development, and their everlasting love for you. They eagerly anticipate the moment when you will join them in a heightened state of awareness, sharing all that they have learned. Over his extensive 43-year career, the most well-documented psychic in history has demonstrated that consciousness endures beyond death and that love surpasses all barriers, including those posed by mortality. According to Cayce's extensive archives, these beliefs transcend mere comfort. They represent spiritual truths substantiated by thousands of documented readings. If this information has inspired you to explore new possibilities, consider subscribing for further insights from Edgar Cayce's remarkable legacy. If this video has enhanced your understanding of death and the continuity of the spirit, please give it a thumbs up and share it with anyone who needs reassurance that their loved ones haven't truly departed. They are simply existing in a heightened state of awareness, waiting to reunite with those they cherish. Additionally, there's something vital the deceased want you to understand, a message so significant that it has appeared in more than half of Cayce's readings on death. They have a clear vision of your life's purpose. In a remarkable incident that astonished researchers in Erie, Cayce acted as a medium for a deceased entrepreneur, delivering targeted advice to his living son regarding a career shift that appeared to be a financial gamble. From his broader perspective, the father understood that this decision would result in both significant financial success and personal satisfaction. Despite facing opposition from his family, the son chose to heed this advice, ultimately establishing one of the most thriving enterprises in his field. What's truly astonishing about this pattern is that the deceased reliably revealed in Cayce's sessions their ability to perceive their loved one's highest potential and life purpose with absolute clarity. Death had lifted the constraints of physical perception, enabling them to witness the flawless progression of each individual's spiritual purpose. The archives were filled with numerous instances in which the departed offered precise career suggestions, relationship insights, and life directions that yielded remarkable results when adhered to. They recognize that each person comes into the world with unique lessons to learn and talents to contribute. But here's the astonishing part of how this operates. They shape your dreams to provide guidance. During the 1930s and 1940s, Cayce recorded a variety of instances in which the departed manifested in dreams, offering vital advice, alerts, or solace to those they left behind. These encounters were not mere chance occurrences. Rather, they were purposefully structured exchanges intended to assist the living in making significant choices. In one confirmed example, a widow was given precise directions in her dreams by her late husband regarding investments that spared her family from financial disaster amid the Great Depression. The detail and correctness of this advice astonished even those in Cayce's circle who were most doubtful. The archived readings indicate that those who have passed recognize dream states as prime opportunities for communication, as the conscious mind is less resistant during these times. They can more effectively convey important messages, offer solace during challenging transitions, and provide insights about future hardships. It's worth considering this deeply. That striking dream you experienced with your deceased loved one may not merely be your subconscious dealing with grief. Based on Cayce's recorded research, it might have been a genuine visitation designed to impart specific guidance to assist you in managing your present situation. The process of dying can be profoundly beautiful. In sessions held for families witnessing the transition of their loved ones, Cayce consistently tapped into insights indicating that the moment of death includes deep spiritual experiences that are not visible to those in the physical realm. The individual who is passing often encounters deceased relatives, feels an overwhelming sense of love and tranquility, and gains immediate clarity regarding the purpose and significance of their earthly existence. One documented instance from 1938 involved a woman whose spouse was succumbing to cancer. Through Cayce's insights, she discovered that her husband was already engaging with spiritual realms during his unconscious moments, connecting with family members who had passed on and preparing for his transition. When he eventually passed away, his expression displayed a tranquility that left the attending physician in awe, as he noted he had never witnessed anything comparable. However, this is the message that those who have died wish for their loved ones to grasp regarding this transition. For many, physical death brings a sense of relief after enduring a long illness, and the actual experience of crossing over is filled with such profound beauty and love that they would not choose to return to the limitations of the physical world, even if they had the option. They hope their families will cease to fear death and instead perceive it as a graduation that enhances awareness and abilities. They collaborate to support those still living. A captivating trend observed in Cayce's records involves deceased family members uniting from the spiritual realm to support their living relatives. Numerous documented instances demonstrate entire groups of departed kin working in concert to address challenges, create opportunities, or safeguard their loved ones from danger. One remarkable case that astonished researchers featured Cayce relaying insights about 3 deceased brothers who collaborated to aid their living sister in locating her missing child. They offered precise search locations and guided beneficial individuals to appear in the right places at crucial times. The child was successfully discovered in the exact area pinpointed by the deceased brothers. This uncovers something remarkable regarding consciousness following death. Those who have passed on continue to nurture connections with one another and actively collaborate to help the living. They create spiritual networks of support that go beyond personal interests and unite in pursuit of the greater well-being of their earthly relatives. Your spiritual progression has an effect on them. A recurring theme in Cayce's readings suggests that your daily decisions, as well as your spiritual and ethical growth, have a direct influence on your loved ones who have died. As you grow spiritually, it brings about beneficial impacts that extend into higher dimensions and aid in ongoing development. In various documented instances, those who have passed away showed appreciation when their living family members participated in prayer, meditation, helping others, and spiritual learning. These practices fostered energetic bonds that encouraged growth for both the living and the deceased. However, there's a contrasting aspect that surprised many of Cayce's clients. Negative actions, spiritual neglect, and moral degradation by the living could disrupt the progress of their departed relatives. This should not be seen as a punishment. Rather, it is a natural outcome of the interconnectedness of consciousness across all realms of existence. The recurring theme highlighted is that spiritual growth is never solely a personal journey. It influences all those who are linked to you, both in tangible and spiritual dimensions. They grasp the concepts of karma and lessons of the soul. Over the course of numerous readings, Cayce tapped into insights revealing that those who have passed on attain a profound comprehension of karmic patterns and soul lessons that were frequently murky during their earthly existence. They observed how interactions, obstacles, and chances were meticulously arranged to promote spiritual advancement. In a striking instance, a mother who had passed away connected with Cayce to express that the challenging dynamic she had with her daughter during her lifetime was essential for the growth of both their souls. She now recognized that their disputes had compelled them both to cultivate qualities such as patience, forgiveness, and unconditional love. What appeared to be familial dysfunction was, in reality, a spiritual lesson plan that their souls had established prior to their earthly lives. This broadened awareness enables the deceased to fully forgive, attain deep understanding, and recognize the spiritual significance within even the most difficult human experiences. They aspire for their beloved ones to adopt this same viewpoint while they are still living. Medical ailments possess spiritual significance. Throughout numerous health assessments, Cayce consistently tapped into insights indicating that physical disorders frequently mirror spiritual disarray or karmic cycles. The deceased, with their heightened consciousness, recognize these links and often strive to convey healing wisdom to their living relatives. One recorded instance featured a man suffering from persistent digestive issues. His late father communicated via Cayce that the ailment originated from repressed resentment and a lack of forgiveness. Once the man confronted these emotional issues, his physical symptoms entirely disappeared. The archives hold a wealth of comparable instances where the departed offered particular insights into the spiritual origins of physical ailments. They recognize that genuine healing frequently involves navigating consciousness patterns rather than solely focusing on physical symptoms. However, what stands out in this comprehension is that the departed wish for their loved ones to realize that illness can serve as a route to spiritual enlightenment when viewed from the appropriate angle. Physical difficulties often act as a catalyst for the spiritual evolution that souls are meant to experience during their time on earth. The teachings of the sleeping prophet persist in providing inspiration, healing, and spiritual insight to those willing to delve into the enigmas of awareness and the everlasting essence of love.